Good afternoon, it's a Kerfuffle launch. Yes, don't get carried away yourselves. You know about this. Welcome everybody to Delighted, another Kerfuffle exclusive today. Tectonic plates are shifting in the world of suppliers and CRM everywhere. I'm delighted to have with me today Ross and Rich on from Dezrez with get the old drum roll on, the unveiling of your new Rezi property management lettings package. Guys, you're looking very relaxed, all considering.
Well, this is the culmination of a number of years of development and work in the background to get this outside. So we're super excited to be launching PM on the 23rd of March. But it's great to come and give you a little preview.
Look at you there, you've slipped. We were talking about the software today and you've slipped in the event, the evolution. We'll come back to that, don't worry, I'll give you yourself opportunity. Yeah, there's a really good story there to be talking about why people should be registering. Well, look, first and foremost, I suppose, can we just, what do you want me to do? I've got that video. Should we have a cup of tea and let everybody watch the couple of minutes to give us a bit of background?
Yeah, go on then. Yeah.
God, we can have a coffee straight away. I told you don't get this with Chris Watkins. Right, let's just find out here. Okay, tell me you can see it all.
Yeah,
looks good.
In Rezi PM, you can manage properties, tenancies, maintenance, and accounts. On the dashboard, you can quickly access your tenants' missing documentation, expiring certificates, and more. You can generate, update, renew, and end tenancies, as well as view the full rent cycle. You can raise and manage maintenance jobs, assign contractors, issue job sheets, and upload contractor invoices. In your accounts dashboard, you can view all of your funds, any arrears, and manage and protect deposits. Within the client account, you can view all transactions, perform reconciles, and view your batch payments. There are dedicated lists for all of the money due in, where you can receipt and allocate funds to collect rent and invoice payments, as well as the money due out list allowing you to pay your landlords and contractors.
Excellent, chaps. Excellent. Good stuff. Right, let's just get rid of that screen and then I'll be back with you. Great. So this is the culmination, isn't it, of a number of years of development there. Yeah. First and foremost, before we get into all the blood, sweat and tears that's got into it, when are you formally, obviously it's here today just on the unveiling, but when are you actually, formally launching the Rezi PM product?
So we're formally launching it on the 23rd of March at the Evolution event. You can go to dezrez.co.uk to sign up there. So please do if you haven't already. Free event, virtual event for anyone to attend. So as I said, we're really excited to get this out there now in the marketplace and to give a little sneak preview there of some of the functionality. I'll let Ross talk about the detail. He's the expert on this, but it's just great to finally be able to get it out there and start talking about it.
Well, I know a little bit about how these sort of projects feel in big prop tech companies. Obviously, they're massive affairs, aren't they? Ross, how long have you been locked away with this little baby?
Oh, many years. So it first started out, trying to figure it out how to get it built first before we even wrote one line of code, and then many years later, we finally sort of got to this point. So it's pretty excited to finally get there.
And give us some context about the sort of team that's been working on it. Has it been a separate development team? Has it been a core development team working on this? How have you just kind of, I know to many agents that might not be so important, but I think it gives an idea of how serious you've been taking this.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we've had a dedicated team on this for a couple of years now. You know, it's taken 4 years really of the overall package to create it. As Ross said, you know, gathering requirements, doing all the accounts research, all of that. You know, when you're launching a PM product, you want to make sure that you've done all that testing, everything in the background around things like the accounts package and all those items, which are absolutely key to making sure when you launch a product like this, it's solid. So yeah, we've been working on it for a while. We've had a dedicated team doing it, and they're continuing to work on it throughout the rest of this year. So you know, it's going to be launched, and then we're going to build out some more functionality, as Ross will tell you about in a sec.
Excellent. And just, I mean, it's a huge thing for a CRM company, isn't it? Because as you'll know, a lot of agents now, they're at that stage of, funny enough, evolution, where the simplest and the biggest bang for their buck they can get, really, is tying together, sometimes from an old legacy lettings and accounts package, bringing that into a single platform, getting rid of all those Chinese walls, which are difficult enough just on the people side of things. If you've also got the systems, blocking things up, that can be very hard to do. So it's a massive thing for you, because I think most people these days, if they're looking at their next CRM package, they don't want to be jumping around, do they? They want it to be the one they're going to be hopefully getting buried with.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely something we see. You know, the inquiries come through. Everyone's looking for sales and property management together, and I think a lot of people are suffering that double entry of data into different systems and to try and get it to all work, and then it's out of sync in one system, and so it's quite exciting to be able to kind of bring that all together and to make sure that obviously it's all one set of data, one set of programs that all work together, and makes life a lot easier, I guess. And you know, it simplifies things a lot, not only for our existing customers, but new customers coming along, makes it more intuitive, fewer programs to have to learn. And it's great for staff because you don't have to keep, you know, training a new system and then, you know, trying to get, double the work to try and keep everything sort of in sync. And it also makes for a tight integration. You know, we have better, a better relationship in the front office and back office, making sure that nobody's kind of out of loop, and you know, there's no breakdown in communication when it comes to looking at the data in your system.
Loads of different things, isn't there? There's the marketing element there, not having to compile 2 sets of data from the sales and lettings department. Websites don't have to have 2 different sets of feeds with different, aspects and assets coming off the back of that. Management reporting doesn't sit in 2 different silos of data with different reporting structures. And then, of course, the key elements everyone would hope with the referrals between the sales and lettings departments. All of those are just, 10 times harder if you don't have this aspect. So the first and most obvious thing is, yes, does it just sit completely alongside the Dezrez sales package?
Yeah, so it's all one single database. There's no 2 separate databases or anything like that. It's, in fact, large portions of it are shared with Rezi. So there's only small elements like the accounting system is a good example, and the maintenance component that are a little bit different, but they all work, as the end user won't really notice any difference between the systems. But that's the nice thing about it. It all sits alongside. It all sort of inherits some of the same principles that Rezi currently has around the API and the access to third-party integrations and all those things that are great and positive about Rezi. They come along with Rezi PM too.
Excellent. So talk us then what it means for your agents, being able to have Rezi, normal Rezi and Rezi PM alongside each other. What are they going to be able to do?
So, I think that comes back to a question around sort of simplifying things. They're able to sort of maintain one set of software, is one set of relationships with a company for support and all that sort of thing. So that does make it a lot easier. And it does mean that, for example, when you accept an offer, that property is immediately available in property management, or even when it's instructed. So it makes things like managing a property's maintenance when, say you don't really have a tenancy on the property yet, just creates a much better connected journey. Let's say you got to fix the front door before you move a tenant in, makes it substantially easier when both systems are sort of running off the same database. And like I said, obviously it makes sure that front office and back office relationship is a lot better.
How have you done? Has it been you and the team locked away just by yourselves, or have you involved clients? But what stage did clients get involved in terms of you sounding off ideas off them?
So this is something we wanted to do really, really early. Before we even wrote the first, line of code, we had a lot of focus groups set up, a lot of customers sort of running through prototypes, trying to understand exactly what people want to get out of the software. Is this what have they currently used? What's not quite working with that? So it's been quite a long process of sort of teasing through that data to get to what we have today. And I mean, we probably designed 60-70% of the software before we even wrote the first line of code. So that we were quite serious about really understanding what people wanted this time around, making sure that it's a solution that's future-proof, that'll take us through another 20 years, rather than something that's kind of not quite cutting the mustard and not doing the right job. Especially around things like legislation as it's changed. We want to make sure that this is designed for that legislation.
Got you. And when you've been talking about Rezi, your goal's always been to obviously streamline processes and just make everyday tasks easier. I take it Rezi PM follows that same philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's ingrained in us now as a product and development team. So that's it's good to see. But it's the same sort of principles that you'd expect in Rezi. The simplification, taking processes that may well have taken a number of people to do and streamlining that. And I think. Also, the way in which you display data, I think over time, there's a couple of systems that have done a really good job at doing that. And we've tried to sort of, I wouldn't say copy, but take inspiration from those systems. And those ones that haven't really sort of worked, we've made sure we understood why they weren't working. And there's obviously, there's whatever we do, we're always looking at ways to reduce the amount of effort to do each individual element. So, good examples are the integration we have with Zapier. It's a nice way to ensure that property management data can be sort of fed into other systems. You can do a tremendous amount more with your data than you could otherwise do with a system that's really closed and fenced off, if you know what I mean. So, it's in line with the way we think. We like to sort of integrate with other providers. And as Rich has probably said a number of times on the show, our goal is to connect the property world. And hopefully that's what the API is going to allow us to do.
Well, start of connecting the office, and then the property world is the next logical step, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's thinking. Yeah.
So, Rich, just in terms of obviously you've got a really exciting point. You've got the launch and everything else, but the people, as intuitive as you could make it, these things won't magically just work day one, of course. So hand-holding and the training and the account management, the project management is critical. Can either of you just give me a bit of context as to what prospects could expect in terms of getting that kind of support from yourselves?
Yeah. I mean, we pride ourselves on our support for our customers. So we have a UK-based support team who are available on the phone 5 days a week, and we've also got our customer portal as well, where customers can go and log issues and cases online. So and with a PM product, there's the things like the account side of things, which can be a little bit complicated. So we won't be teaching people how to do accountancy, but we'll definitely support our clients through that and any of the new elements that we bring into the software. But a lot of things that we said earlier on, when we started out on this journey, we wanted to make sure this fulfilled the key elements for a client, from a property management perspective. And that's really what we're looking to do straight off the bat here, is to give something that clients can use from day one that's going to do all the things that they need to do to run their agency. So that's what we've aimed to do, and just taking on that feedback from customers to do that. So yeah, but obviously we've got that support package there for all our customers.
Excellent. And I'm guessing you've got quite a busy order book, haven't you, with clients who have just been just dying for this day, aren't they, in terms of being able to solve both those issues? Because look, we're going to come obviously, how I love to talk about all sorts of suppliers here, and I want you to highlight to us, there are obviously a huge amount of packages out there as well. So it'd be really interesting to understand, what are you doing differently to the competition? Because the landscape in particular in the lettings arena on that is it's ripe for opportunity, isn't it? I mean, we know a couple of the older legacy packages that are still used, incredibly, popular, still used out there. They've been in there 2 decades. So if you can get just a decent percentage of those, that's going to make a dramatic effect, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Go on, Ross.
Yeah, I'll cover this one. I think the reason I agree with you, there's a lot of innovation, it's ripe for innovation. I think, a lot of those solutions that people are stuck with for a long time, I think one thing that's often forgotten is they do the basics really well. They understand exactly what the customer needs to do, and they do it well, and they do it well every day. So I think, there's a lot we're doing differently, but I think there's a lot that we've learned from competitors. I think and we're trying to make sure we get those basics right before we take the next step and sort of innovate. But I think some of the improvements that we've made are a better support around legislation. I think we're probably one of the only, I venture to guess, one of the only property management solutions in recent years to launch. There hasn't been very many. So what's been quite nice about that is we've been able to bring a little bit more of the legislation in, a little bit more support for, EICRs and right to rent and those sorts of things that often, they obviously just get bolted onto existing systems. And we've also sort of looked at the deposit protection and release process and integrate that a bit tighter and a bit more natively into the software to make sure it's much smoother. We'll look at integrations with the deposit schemes over time, but at the moment we're just trying to make sure that their process is as good as possible. And then some sort of, I guess you could say, for the front office people, some boring items, but they are important around sort of the way in which accounts are structured, structuring on a per person and on a per property basis. And, it makes things like paying landlords substantially easier because, you don't have to do all sorts of gymnastics to try and generate the proper payment statement for a landlord's preferences. We track both of those structures and that makes it substantially easier to represent that statement to the landlord. So, it's a bit of, making sure we do the basics right, but also making sure that the next steps, we're moving beyond what the industry is doing. I think we've got some really, really exciting, should we say, skunkworks projects going on in the background, but we're not ready to talk about those now. But in time,
okay, it's Fight Club rules, is it? Yeah. I understand that. And from what I understand, is you have had this, you've been bedding this in with a few clients as well. Clearly, a lot of those will have had existing packages. What are they telling you that they're liking about the package?
I think a lot of the feedback's coming through is the simplicity. I know we keep going over this, but I think the idea is a lot of systems have 4 or 5 different steps to try and do something, and we're trying to sort of smooth that out into a single 1 or 2 steps. So I think a lot of the feedback we're getting is simplification of what is really a simple process, but in some cases been overcomplicated. And obviously the support for the legislation is handy. Giving some sort of indication when there's an element of legislation that's missing, it just helps you stay compliant, should we say. So that's definitely coming through. I think also the Rezi, the Zapier integration, a lot of people are quite excited about that, the ability to sort of send your data off and do all sorts with it, whether that's, Google Docs or Excel, or maybe you want to run a mail campaign via MailChimp or something like that. That's really, really good part of Zapier. So I think the sort of interoperability of everything and the simplification is definitely something that's coming through. And hopefully will be a few more of those items as we develop the feature set out a little bit further.
And I don't think you should apologise, because it's a hugely detailed area, isn't it? As soon as you start drilling into the level of intricacy that account software, it shows why there are so few decent providers out there, obviously, competing in that realm, and why, as you said yourself, some of those older ones, much as there is an opportunity cost to not moving over, you will be doing loads better. It can sometimes be quite hard just to move those people away from it. So
absolutely, yeah.
There are real. I mean, I think the problem is with a lot of those packages, the basic, the infrastructure, the technology is now creaking to a point that it just can't go on forever, though, can it?
No, that's true. I think a lot of the technology around those solutions, that were conceived 15 years ago, and I think they'll still move along, and you'll see a lot of providers are decommissioning their products or dropping support for them. Things they're just not supported anymore. So it's teetering a little bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if you saw more providers innovate in the future. Although we haven't seen very much of that, which is quite surprising. But yes, so that is the that is kind of the status quo, I guess you could say. There's a lot of outdated systems out there. They do the job well, but they're not particularly innovative.
How we touched on kind of onboarding again there. Is there going to be any level of kind of data conversion? I mean, you can never convert the accounts data, can you? Because it's just hugely complex. The data convert, you'd be charging hundreds of thousands of pounds to try and bring that across. So I take it would be opening and closing balancing. You'd have to just rekey. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll start with, I say we'll start. I think the idea is opening and closing balances, but what we want to make sure is that, all that data you've built up in your other system around, next inspection dates and rent payment dates and, when does the landlord prefer to be paid, all that sort of thing. We want to make sure that as much of that comes across, as much of your relationship with the landlord comes across. You could probably count that as not particularly important, but we want to make sure that you don't lose that in the transition. But yes, we are offering the data migration on that product. I think, especially for our existing customers who are already using Rezi. So we're looking at doing a sort of top up. So we would top up that data onto your existing data. It is quite complex, but I think we've sort of figured out a way to do it, which is great. And I think that for us that's the start of your experience in the software. Like you say, no data migration is perfect.
It's just about going into it with your eyes open, isn't it?
That's
with the expectation of what you're doing. Rubbish in, rubbish out is an eternal problem as well. Make sure you try and tidy it up as much as you can do. There's stuff you can do, but ultimately you'll know your data best, won't you, as well, when you're looking at.
Yeah, that's right. I think, sometimes if you've got yourself into a bit of a muddle in your existing software, you're going to move that muddle over to your new software if you don't sort of cleanse that. So, even with the best will in the world, sometimes that data migration process, it's never it's never easy, but hopefully the rewards at the end of the day and the longevity of the system you move to is kind of what motivates you to do it.
And you're biased, but what's the bit that gets you most excited? What were you thinking? Yeah, we've really nailed this product. What bit of functionality or elements of the PM product was it that got your attention?
I think a little bit more around the compliance, and maybe that's sort of tells you a lot about the parts that excite me about the product. But the legislation side, I think when you spend a lot of time with agents, they kind of feel that they're not really being covered in a lot of these areas, and they're having to remember everything, and staff are having to be trained quite religiously. So we're trying to make sure that a lot of those reminders for right to rent, have you checked that, and we're trying to make sure that and especially on the renewals certificates, that you're not left high and dry. So those are the parts that quite excite me, because they take away the risk for an agent. I think there's plenty that I like, and there's plenty that's coming down the road that's very, very exciting. But I think that legislation part is the part that I guess gets me excited. I think it's difficult because there's a lot of things, like renewing a gas safety certificate or a tenancy, that sort of thing. It's par for the course. You can only do it so well. So what's nice about the legislation is it's really an opportunity to move that forward.
Yeah. Systems like systems, don't they? Unfortunately, it might not sound like the most thing, but compliance and legislation is stuff that should and could be done, within packages like yours much more effectively, and with far less mistakes than if a human's doing it in their head.
Yeah, I think that's one of the sort of underlying principles of Rezi PM. And I mean, staff in branches probably won't thank us too much, but we're looking at these things and saying, well, look, in 5 or 10 years, will it still be feasible to have so many people being property managers? And will it still make a lot of sense, especially on the account side of things? Will it make a lot of sense to have, a massive team of accounts people, reconciling funds in, that sort of thing? So we are looking at that in every single feature that we do, is say, how do we take how do we make this less of a person job and more of a sort of automated systems-based approach? So, we don't want to make that sort of unusable, and we don't want to make it so you don't trust the system. So it's a balancing act. But that's definitely what we're looking to do. Is yes, you're paying a license for the software, but you're needing fewer people to run your property management arm day to day.
And Rich, thanks, Ross. And Rich, from your point of view, is it just the pound signs flashing in that you like best, or is it? Are you seeing other things? Is it just having that combined package that gets you most?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think we've listened to clients. We've, as Ross mentioned, clients want us to make sure that we do the basics right in the package to start with. And once we've got that sorted, it's then moving on to the next more exciting things. There's some really exciting things coming down the pipe, a few months after launch. But for now, it's just going to be getting a solid package out there that people can start using straight away. But yeah, I mean, we know we lost around 40% of our opportunities because we didn't have a combined sales and property management solution. So this is the missing piece for us as a company, and it just helps us on our growth journey. That's absolutely what we want to do. So
frustrating, that, Rich, isn't it? When your teams, they know that actually if they just had that one part of it, they could have got to a much larger percentage of business. So straight overnight, almost, you're going to be able to allay those fears. And I suppose if we can just touch on the sales side, I don't know if you're releasing the pricing structure or whether you're doing that publicly yet, but where are you positioning it? Because obviously the one thing about Dezrez is it's always been known as a very price competitive product, hasn't it? Is that going to be true, that people should be able to get on board with it cost effectively, or are you going for a more enterprise level with this?
Well, there are tiered levels of it, but our basic package, we've had feedback from clients already that one actually said it's competitively priced. So I think that is kind of what we always try to do. We try to be in the right place in the market, and not really too high, or we're right in the middle, I think. And that's well positioned. You are, sorry?
The Goldilocks zone, that's it.
yeah. And for larger agencies, there is a tiered model as well. So we will be releasing those prices soon, but we'll wait until after launch.
Well, let the little pink site know about it when you can. I think that's good. I think one of the things you've done very cleverly with Rezi per se anyway is you have got entry level ones for people who can get on board, whether that's startups or small organizations. But it does tier up and up, doesn't it? Whereby with the depth of functionality, so if you want things like open APIs and automation and workflow and everything else, that you can really take more of that ownership yourself as a bigger business.
Yeah, and that's definitely something we'll take into PM as well, with the things like Ross has talked about, like Zapier and those things. Not everybody wants those, although we think everybody should have them. But it's we will tier it in that way to make sure that it covers those.
I mean, that's a good point, that, isn't it? We saw the fantastic What 3 Words unveiling again. But actually, when people start coming up with some of the real-world examples and where they're doing integrations and everything else, even more so where procedure, dare I say, is more important on the property management side of things, is Rezi's just ready-made for that, isn't it? Or Rezi-made, sorry,
Rezi-made.
I got a bit sick of that.
We trademarked that one. I think that's definitely the case. That's the nice thing about Rezi and building a product like Rezi PM is that about when you start, 25% of it is already done. A lot of this APIs and integration, all these sort of things. I know a lot of people, it's not really that important to them, but I think once you kind of realize the power of the automation and the integration with all the third-party apps, you quickly come to realize that it becomes indispensable. That's I guess from a product standpoint, that's a fantastic sort of starting block, as you can say. But hopefully, we'll with some of the integrations we're going to do with Rezi with Rezi and Rezi PM, we'll be able to kind of take that to the next level and really demonstrate it.
Fantastic. So we spoke about the onboarding, the support. They're going to have obviously hands-on support as you do at the moment, as well as and everything else. Just talk us through then again when people can, they're going to want to find out more about this and everything else. We've got the Evolution conference coming up. Rich, do you want to just give us a bit of background about what people can expect on the 23rd, isn't it?
Yeah, on the 23rd. So there is actually an agenda for that day that's available on our website at dezrez.co.uk. You go to the Evolution button, click on that, and it will show you all about the day and how to register. We're actually launching Rezi PM at 11 a.m. Ross is doing his full walkthrough at that stage, and you can also book. There'll be a live Q&A as part of that. And you can also book a demo with our team as well. So we're going to have a number of the team available on the 23rd. So if you want to book a demo for that day, you can go on and do that as well. And obviously we'll be running demos forever after that. We're going to be busy. And so I mean, that's the best way to see this, is to come and see the launch and see it all in its full glory. We'll be doing a lot more in detailed review of it than we've done today.
Cool, and I can just see Kaylee's just popped it up into the Facebook group as well there. Full video walkthrough and to book a Rezi PM demo. Check out the Facebook page, dezrez.co.uk/property management software Rezi PM to get to it there. And I've just popped up as well the Dezrez Evolution page as well, just to see further information on the back of that. So get on board, get on there. It's a fantastic day. So what you're telling me is then, guys, you're launching this fantastically 11 o'clock, and then I follow up in the difficult lunchtime slot. Everyone just buggers off to go and get a question or something.
If anyone can follow us, it's you.
All right, I should have looked at the schedule a bit better, shouldn't I? I've been doing it. Okay, this is fantastic, gents. So you've alluded to it, guys, but what can they are they going to see a regular stream of what I would term kind of major enhancements, or is it going to be small iterative improvements for the just while you launch it, and there will be inevitably things to hand in? How are you? I know you can't give anything away, but how do you see that kind of release schedule happening over the coming weeks and months?
So I think we've got quite a big team on Rezi PM. So it shouldn't be a sort of trickle. I think what you'll probably find is going to be more and more things coming. I think the pace, strangely enough, the pace is going to feel like it's picking up. There's already things we're doing post-launch that we're working on now. So, it's going to be quite quick. There's a lot of things that you'll come to expect in the system that you'll see sort of pop up. But there'll also be some exciting things as the product matures and we get the basic sets of functionality in. Probably find that, maybe tail end of May, you'll start to see a little bit more, some exciting sort of edgy stuff coming in there that it's really going to help. And really the pace will then pick up throughout the course of the year, culminating in, we really want to be really, really strong by the end of the year is the sort of thinking. Not that the launch isn't, but some of our unique functionality is going to really come to the fore by the end of the year.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Well, one thing I should say is make sure everyone goes to the landing page, as we always say, on Kerfuffle. You can always find out much more information, fantastic ratings up there, wonderful stars and everything. We can see, obviously, further information. There's always, wherever possible, an exclusive Kerfuffle deal. So I think we've got a deal there, 50% off your setup fee. That's great. Yep. Agents instinctively hate setup fees, even though there's so much work involved, isn't there, guys? I think we always kind of say, do you know how much it takes to get this software out of the locker room? Yeah. But then we've got other stuff. Obviously, got further information here. We can see those reviews. We can see integrations. Obviously, with you having the Zapier integration, with you having the Open API, those are just going to include. Those are just going to roll out at an ever increasing pace, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then each and every one, there's Rich in a variety of different haircuts. You came on last time with your face smashed in from your bike ride as well. I told you not to do exercise.
I know. Well, I got a haircut today, so the hairdresser's opened in Wales, which is an absolute result. 8 o'clock this morning, straight in there.
Probably with all this, I probably need to get right across there.
Yeah, the same.
And just to kick off again, just to remind people, is there a charge for Evolution, or is it or
it's free? It's free to attend.
So yeah. Just chuck it out there. And apart from obviously me, number 3 most important person in the country, we got Josh Fegan delivering. Obviously, all never failed to shine. Obviously, there we've got Pete Knight delivering a fantastic session. Who's your keynote as well? Is that quite interesting?
Richard Mulholland. So yeah, he's excellent. He's really exciting, really motivational speaker. So he's got the after lunch slot. So he's going to get everybody back.
He's after me. Oh well, yeah. I'll leave a few depth charges for him then. Let's see how we can. I'll get my own back on you guys. So let's just take that. So yeah, obviously, guys, register. Make sure you've got. Even if you can't make it, make sure somebody in your office can, attend and do it. And I think I'm right in saying Rich is going to be available afterwards, just for those people that.
Sure. Yeah, as it's a virtual event, it's actually available for 30 days after the 23rd. But the thing, on the 23rd, obviously, there's opportunities to chat live with our partners, and so that's really the main day to get there. But if you can't make it for that day, then there's the 30 days after. It's
a good job they didn't have this in my day. Knowing that they could have caught up afterwards, I'd never have been away from the bar. It wasn't like I was there much anyway at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got Victoria. All our guest speakers are loved equally. So there we are. Somebody playing the politically correct position. Don't worry. I'm all right, Victoria. I don't feel left out. It's fine. I'm in good company. Okay, so let me just talk about this then. So the key takeaways that we're going to take away from this is, first and most important, the thing that I think is just the biggest prop tech challenge, and I don't want to say easily solved, but having a combined solution there, bringing together those just absolutely vital parts of your business on a technology foundation like yours. Got to be a big tick in the box there, hasn't it? Nice, lovely one there. Fully compliant, Ross. I can tell. Me and you will have drinks in the bar. You'll have to show me the love of compliance and everything else. But I understand how important that obviously is. And
I'll put you to sleep if you're not careful.
Well, as long as I don't go to jail, that's ever-increasing levels of legislation. You're going to be on top of that, and you're already obviously focusing on that, and you're trying to do that in an easier way than you have to. By the way, Peter Knight, what I'm saying is, you said you borrowed some ideas. The proper phrase is R&D. We ripped off and duplicated was how we did it. So we got obviously, support for the latest legislation around client money protection, gas safety certificates, electrical inspections, Legionella, a whole host of different things that you've already got in there from day one. So I think it's probably just avoided the last one. It's fair to say this isn't like an MVP, is it? You know, this isn't a minimum viable product. You've already been working on this. And as I said, been working with teams to get it out of the box, so to speak.
Yeah, it's been a constant battle because the commercial guys want to get it out the door, and the product guys want to make it stronger and stronger and stronger. So luckily,
I'd have had it when it had its first bottom there. That's it. And then finally, it's future-proof. I mean, the one big thing is this is the culmination of it. Is you try to look to the future in terms of the platform. There, this isn't going to be for some period of time where we spoke about those legacy packages. You know, there are some systems out there we know at the moment where they're actually going to have to be upgraded in some sense in 2 to 3 years anyway. You're good for the foreseeable, as far as I can see.
Yeah. And I think in 2 or 3 years, who knows where we'll be. So I think that's probably the exciting part.
Are you promising me jetpacks there, Ross, or I'm still waiting for that? And Kaylee, just to make sure, don't worry, Kaylee, I won't miss it. Full launch of Rezi PM at 11 a.m, free to attend. Just to reiterate that point, showcasing a full run through of the software with a live Q&A session. Do not miss. And she's put that into capitals, so she doesn't look like that's around. Fantastic, guys! You must be really, really pleased. Well done for getting it out there. I'm sure you've got a ecstatic client base looking forward to getting their teeth into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're really excited about it, and again, thank you, Si, for letting us come on and promote it. And
you really have to tease me with exclusive and launches. And no, I think it's great. I mean, is this space? Isn't it interesting though? Like the portal space was a bit dull a while back. CRM was getting, dare I say, a little bit sort of stayed a little bit boring. And I think what's happened recently with all this kind of Zapier stuff, you launching the accounts, other things happening, suddenly this is a really vibrant space again. And I think agents will benefit from that competition, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the key, isn't it? You know, we're doing this for our clients at the end of the day. You know, we want to let them have a stronger solution, which helps them, you know, drive their businesses forward. And as Ross said, you know, manage more properties with the same number of people they've got right now. So that's really key to this. And there's so much exciting technology coming out right now, and we can make the most of all of that. So that's really is the future, really.
Great. Well, look, Ross, thank you for spending your time. Obviously, congratulations to you and your team for getting that out there as well. Obviously, we want to hear from some of those clients in the future, letting us know how it's going and their real-life experiences. And I've just realised, looking at the calendar, that your event is actually next Tuesday, so I better get around to no, I've got it all prepared. Don't worry.
No, I'm worried.
Thanks, guys. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Brilliant. Thanks,
Cheers,
Simon.